Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're going to be focusing on something really practical today for those of you learning English, especially those at the very beginning of your journey. We're going to be diving into a simple dialogue about borrowing an umbrella and really breaking it down to help you understand and use these basic phrases yourself. And to help us with this deep dive, we have an expert in language learning who's going to help break everything down for us.
It's great to be here.
So,
Yeah.
let's jump right in. Imagine it's a rainy day.
Okay.
We've got two people, Alex and Ella. They bump into each other. And you know what? Ella forgot her umbrella.
Oh, no.
Let's listen to this short dialogue to see what happens.
Oh.
To really bring it to life. Let's actually act it out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Oh no, it's raining.
Do you have an umbrella?
No, I forgot mine at home.
You can use mine. Here you go.
Really? Thank you so much.
No problem. Just give it back later.
Of course. I'll return it tomorrow. That was great. Did you see how simple and useful that dialogue was? I feel like I've definitely been in Ella's shoes before. Forgetting my umbrella on a rainy day.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
And now you have some simple phrases in English that can help you out in a similar situation.
Exactly. All right, so we've heard this dialogue. Now let's really break it down. What are some of the key words and expressions in this conversation that our listeners should pay attention to?
Well, right off the bat, we hear Ella say, "Oh no, it's raining." This tells us the situation. It's raining, and that's a problem for Ella because...
Doesn't have an umbrella.
Right. And that leads to Alex's question, do you have an umbrella? This is a very common way to ask someone if they have an umbrella with them.
And this phrase, do you have an umbrella, is a really good one to practice. It's so useful.
Absolutely. Now, because Ella doesn't have an umbrella, she replies, "No, I forgot mine at home." This is another useful phrase you can use if you accidentally leave something behind.
So important. Now, what happens next?
Well, Alex is really helpful here. He says, "You can use mine." This is a great way to offer help to someone.
It is. And he follows it up with, here you go, as
Yeah.
he's handing the umbrella to Ella.
Exactly. And Ella, being very grateful, says thank you so much. This shows how appreciative she is of Alex's help.
It's good to really emphasize how thankful you are, just like Ella did here. Now, how does Alex respond?
He keeps it simple and says, "No problem." This is a very casual way to say, "You're welcome" in English.
So, listeners, if you want a casual way to say, you're welcome, no problem, it's a great choice. Now, the last bit of the dialogue is about...
Returning the umbrella.
Yeah.
Ella says, "Just give it back later." And Ella replies, "Of course, I'll return it tomorrow," meaning she'll give it back to him the next day.
Perfect. Now we've gone over the entire dialogue, but let's take a closer look at some of those really key words and expressions that can help you start speaking English right away.
You know, it's fascinating how much we can unpack from such a simple conversation. It really highlights how everyday situations can be incredible opportunities for learning English.
It's true. We've already gone over some key phrases and vocabulary, but I think it would be really helpful for our listeners to practice saying them out loud. What do you think?
I completely agree. Repetition is key when you're learning a language. The more you practice, the more natural these phrases will become.
So how about we try acting out the dialogue again? But this time, let's switch roles. I'll be Alex, and you can be Ella.
All right, let's give it a go.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh no. It's raining.
Do you have an umbrella?
No, I forgot mine at home.
You can use mine. Here you go.
Really? Thank you so much.
No problem. Just give it back later.
Of course. I'll return tomorrow.
great.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
See? It works just as well with the roles reversed.
It really does, and it shows how versatile these phrases are. You can use them in all sorts of situations where you need to borrow something.
Absolutely. But let's dive a little deeper into some of the key words and expressions from this dialogue. I think it's really important for our listeners to not just hear them, but to really understand how to use them.
I couldn't agree more. Let's start with the phrase, do you have an umbrella? This is such a fundamental question in this scenario.
And it's so easy to adapt. You can simply replace umbrella with any other object you might need to borrow. For example, you can say, do you have a pen? Or do you have a phone charger?
Exactly. It's like a simple formula that you can use in so many different situations. Now, what about the phrase, you can use mine? This is such a generous and helpful thing to say to someone.
It is, and it's important for our listeners to know how to express this kind of willingness to help in English.
Absolutely. And remember, it's followed by here you go, which is a common expression used when you're handing something to someone.
So listeners, when you're practicing this dialogue, pay close attention to how these phrases flow together. Now, we can't forget about Ella's response. Thank you so much. This shows genuine gratitude. It's always nice to go a little beyond a simple thank you.
Yes, and you can really hear that sincerity in her voice when we acted it out. And of course, Alex casually replies with, no problem, which is a great everyday alternative to, you're welcome.
Perfect. Now that we've covered those key expressions, how about we focus on some of the individual words that might be new for our listeners?
Great idea. Let's start with the word umbrella. It's a simple word, but it's important to be able to say it clearly.
Can you give our listeners some tips on how to pronounce it correctly?
Of course, it's pronounced umbrella. Try to emphasize each syllable clearly. Umbrella.
Perfect. Now, what about the word rain? It seems simple, but sometimes those one-syllable words can be tricky.
You're absolutely right. For rain, try to elongate the A sound. Ran. It's all about paying attention to those sounds.
Great tip. Now, the last word I want to focus on is forgot. Sometimes beginners might accidentally say forget instead of forgot, especially when they're nervous.
That's a common mistake. It's all about remembering that forgot is the past tense of forget. So in this dialogue, when Ella says, I forgot mine at home, she's talking about something that happened in the past.
Exactly. And it's these small but crucial distinctions that will help you sound more fluent and natural when you're speaking English. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive, from those essential phrases to pronunciation tips, and even adapting the dialogue to new situations.
It's amazing how much learning can come from one simple conversation about borrowing an umbrella, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
But sometimes the best way to solidify what we've learned is to hear it all come together again.
I completely agree. Hearing that natural flow of the conversation can really help those phrases stick.
So how about we revisit the dialogue one last time? Are you ready to be Alex again?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, here we go.
Oh no, it's raining.
Do you have an umbrella?
No, I forgot mine at home.
You can use mine. Here you go.
Really? Thank you so much.
No problem. Just give it back later.
Of course. I'll return it tomorrow.
That was fantastic. I think we're both getting pretty good at this.
Uh-huh. You're a natural. And I bet our listeners are feeling much more confident about using these phrases too.
I hope so. Remember, the key is to keep practicing. Even if you just say these phrases out loud to yourself, it can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to try adapting them to new situations. That's how you really start to own the language.
That's a great point. We talked about switching out umbrella for other objects, but what about changing the situation altogether? What if Ella needed to borrow something while she was at Alex's house?
Ooh, that's a great challenge for our listeners. How would you change the dialogue to fit that scenario? What phrases would stay the same and what would you need to adjust?
It's all about getting creative and experimenting with the language. Remember, there's no one right way to do it.
Exactly. The most important thing is to find what works for you and have fun with the process.
Well said. It's been such a pleasure diving into this conversation with you and our listeners.
I've enjoyed it immensely. It's always rewarding to see how even the simplest interactions can open up a whole world of language learning.
And to our amazing listeners, if you enjoyed this deep dive and want more just like it to help you on your English learning journey, make sure to subscribe to the deep dive and give us a like.
We're here to support you every step of the way. Keep practicing, keep exploring, and most importantly, have fun with English.
Until next time, happy learning.
Thanks for joining the conversation here at Kaz English. We hope you found it fun and informative. Don't forget to check out kazapp.uk. That's kazapp.uk for more tips, resources, and interactive practice. Keep exploring, keep chatting, and we'll catch up with you again soon.